Something strange happens when you get older. You stop being impressed. Like, genuinely stop. You can meet someone who's rich, charming, hilarious at parties, the kind of person who walks into a room and owns it, and you feel nothing. Not jealousy, not admiration, just nothing. But then you meet someone else, someone quieter, someone who asks you a real question and actually waits for the answer. Someone who doesn't need to perform. And you walk away thinking, I want more of that person in my life. That shift, that recalibration of who matters and why, it doesn't happen overnight. And nobody warns you it's coming. But around your late 30s, early 40s, your social radar fundamentally changes. And today, I want to break down exactly why that happens, what's really driving it, and, most importantly, what you should actually do about it. Because understanding this might be the most useful thing you learn this year. Let me tell you about a guy named Jason. I heard this story from a friend of mine. She's in her mid-40s, works in finance. She told me about a colleague she worked with in her 20s. His name was Jason. Funny, magnetic, could walk into any meeting and make everyone feel like he was exactly what the room needed. She said she used to restructure her whole week just to be around him. She'd go to his events. She'd defend him in conversations. She was basically an unpaid PR agent for this guy. Then one day, she's sick. Really sick. Bad fever, can't get off the couch. She texts Jason, just asking if he can bring her soup or even just check in. He never responded. Not that day, not the next. 3 weeks later, he texted her asking if she could introduce him to someone at a competitor firm. She said something to me I haven't forgotten. She said, I wasn't even hurt. I was just embarrassed that it took me that long to see it. That's the charm trap. And here's why it works so well when we're younger. Our brains are literally wired early in life to pursue status. It's evolutionary. Being close to powerful, charismatic people increases your survival odds in a social group. So charm, energy, confidence, it reads as safety when you're in your 20s. But over time, through enough disappointments, your nervous system learns. It starts filtering differently. And this is not cynicism. This is wisdom taking shape in your body before your brain even catches up. But here's the part that surprised me when I first read the research on this. The people who get fooled longest by charm aren't naive. They're actually often some of the most intelligent people in the room, and there's a specific psychological reason for that. I'll get to it. But first, after enough life experience, you stop screening people by what they project, and you start screening them by how you feel after you leave. That's it. That's the whole shift. You stop asking, is this person interesting? You start asking, do I feel drained or full after 2 hours with this person? And it sounds simple, but it's actually a profound rewiring of your social evaluation system. Here's a quick test. Think about 3 people you've spent significant time with in the last month. After each interaction, not during, not at the peak moment, but after, did you feel lighter or heavier? More energized or more depleted? More like yourself or like you'd been performing a version of yourself you don't particularly like? Most people, when they're honest, can immediately name 1 or 2 people in their lives who consistently leave them feeling worse. And they keep seeing those people, out of habit, out of obligation, out of not wanting to seem difficult. But here's what's wild, and this is backed by research out of UCLA. Your body registers these energy costs before your conscious mind does. Cortisol levels rise in anticipation of certain social interactions. Before you even get there, your nervous system has already run the simulation and filed a stress report. You know that low-grade dread you feel before certain phone calls? That's not anxiety. That's data. your body keeping score, long before your mind is willing to admit it. Okay, I promised you the research on this. Here it is. There's a concept in psychology called the halo effect. When someone is charming, physically attractive, or high status, we unconsciously attribute a whole cluster of other positive qualities to them. Loyalty, integrity, depth, kindness. We don't decide to do this, it just happens, automatically. And here's the cruel irony. Intelligent people are often more susceptible to this, not less, because they're better at constructing post hoc rationalizations for why the charismatic person must be good. They build arguments, they find evidence, they explain away the red flags. He's under a lot of pressure at work. She's not great at texting, but in person she's amazing. He didn't mean it like that. Sound familiar? I want to introduce you to a concept that changed how I see this entire problem. It's called the consistency gap. Here's what it means. Charm is a performance, and performances require audience. But consistency, real consistency, happens when no one is watching. Do they return the favor when you need something small? Do they show up on a random Tuesday when it's inconvenient? Do they treat the waiter the same way they treat the CEO? That last one is almost diagnostic. The way someone treats service staff, people who have no social power over them, tells you almost everything you need to know about their actual character. Not their curated character, their actual character. After 40, you start noticing this, almost involuntarily. It becomes part of how you read a room. Let me tell you what nobody tells you about the social shift that happens in midlife. It feels at first like loneliness. Your circle gets smaller, dramatically smaller. And in a culture that prizes having lots of friends, lots of connections, an active social life, that can feel like failure. I spoke to a woman named Diane. She's 47, lives in Portland. She told me that at 35, she had maybe 30 people she'd call friends, people she'd see regularly, go to events with. By 45, she had 7. And she said for a while she thought something was wrong with her, that she was becoming antisocial, closed off, difficult. But then she described those 7 people. She said, "I can call any one of them at 2 a.m. and they would answer. Not because I've done it, I haven't, but I know they would, and they know I would for them." 30 people, 7 people. Which sounds richer to you? Here's the reframe that I think is genuinely underrated. Circle contraction is not social failure. It's social precision. You're not losing friends. You're finding out who your friends actually are. And the reason this process accelerates after 40 is simple. You've lived through enough situations where the performance collapsed, where the crisis hit and you found out who showed up. Grief, illness, job loss, divorce. These are not just painful experiences. They are, in the most unsentimental sense, social filters. They remove the scenery people, and they reveal the structural people, the ones who are actually load-bearing in your life. In my observation, and this is backed by the sociology of close adult friendships, the people who survive the filter fall into 3 types. Type 1, the stabilizers. These are people who make the environment around you calmer just by being present. They're not necessarily cheerful, they're not hype people, but something about their energy, their groundedness, makes you think more clearly when you're around them. When you're spiraling, they don't spiral with you. They don't dismiss you either. They just hold the space steady. These people are rare. If you have one, you probably already know who I'm talking about. Type 2 is the one most people undervalue when they're young. Type 2, the honest ones. Not brutally honest, not "I'm just being real with you" as a way to be unkind. I mean people who will tell you a hard truth with enough care that you can actually hear it. People who will say, "I love you and I think you're making a mistake," and say it once, without the manipulation of repeating it until you agree. This type is counterintuitive because in your 20s, honesty can feel like criticism. It can feel like a lack of support. But by 40, you've seen what happens when the people around you only ever agreed with you. You've made the expensive decisions that no one pushed back on. And you understand, viscerally, that someone who tells you the truth is doing something much harder and more loving than someone who just makes you feel good. Type 3, the low-maintenance, high-warmth people. You can go 3 months without talking. You pick back up exactly where you left off. No guilt trips, no scorekeeping, no wounded silences because you were busy with life. Just, "Hey, I missed you. What's going on?" These are the relationships that age the best. Like good wood. Sturdy, quiet, there. I'm going to be honest with you here, because I think a lot of content on this topic gets soft when it needs to get real. Some of the relationships in your life are costing you more than you know. Not because those people are evil, not because they don't care about you in their own way, but because the dynamic between you, the specific shape of that relationship, is pulling energy out of you on a consistent basis. And energy, past 40, is your most non-renewable resource. You only get so many hours of full presence in a week. So many hours where you're genuinely sharp, calm, available. Where you can show up fully for the people and work that actually matter to you. Here's a question I want you to sit with. Is there a relationship in your life, right now, where you mostly show up out of guilt? Not history, not genuine affection, not even habit that you actually enjoy, but guilt. The fear of what they'll think of you if you pull back. The discomfort of their disappointment. The identity you've built around being the kind of person who doesn't walk away. That guilt is real. I'm not dismissing it. But guilt is not the same thing as love. And obligation is not the same thing as choice. And spending your finite energy maintaining a relationship that neither of you is actually nourished by, that's not loyalty. That's two people slowly draining each other because neither of you knows how to stop. Sometimes the most loving thing, for both people, is to quietly, gracefully reduce the contact. Not dramatically, not with a speech, just less, until it finds its natural level. Okay, let's get practical, because philosophy without application is just entertainment. Here's what the shift actually looks like in real life. Step 1. Run the energy audit. Write down the 10 people you spend the most time with. Not who you want to spend time with, who you actually do. Next to each name, write one word. Just one word for how you feel, on average, after time with that person. Energized, anxious, seen, drained, calm, guarded, light, heavy. Don't overthink it. The first word is almost always the honest one. What you'll find, and I hear this consistently, is that the results surprise people. Not because they reveal strangers, but because they confirm things you already knew and had been arguing yourself out of. Step 2. Protect the relationships that are actually working. This is the part people skip. They focus on cutting the draining relationships without doubling down on the nourishing ones. If you have a friend who makes you feel consistently seen, consistently good, consistently like the best version of yourself, that friendship needs active maintenance. It doesn't survive on autopilot. Schedule the call. Make the trip. Send the message that says, "You matter to me. I don't want to lose track of you in all this." Those friendships don't just happen. After 40, nothing good in your social life happens by accident. You have to choose it, repeatedly, on purpose. Step 3. Create low-pressure entry points for new people. Because new relationships become harder to form the older you get, not because you're closed, but because you're busier, more selective, and the casual collision points of school and early careers are gone. So you have to be a little strategic. Join something small: a class, a book group, a running club, a community around something you actually care about. Something where you'll see the same people repeatedly, in a context that isn't about networking. Because forced networking in midlife feels exactly like what it is. The relationships that will matter in the second half of your life are the ones that start with, "Hey, turns out we like the same thing." I want to end on something that I think often gets missed in conversations about this. The ability to see people clearly, to feel someone's energy accurately, to trust your own read of a room. That's not a loss of innocence. It's a form of wisdom that you've earned. There was a story I read once about a ceramicist who spent 20 years perfecting a specific kind of Japanese glaze. A visitor to her studio asked how she knew when a piece was right. She said, "When I was young, I would measure and test and ask other people. Now, I just know. My hands know. I couldn't explain why. I just trust them." That's what's happening in your social life after 40. You've run enough tests. You've been through enough situations. Your hands, metaphorically, know. That quiet discomfort you feel around certain people, that warmth you feel with others, even before you've said anything meaningful, that's not irrational. That's calibration built from decades of experience. And here's the twist that I think is genuinely beautiful. As you get better at seeing people clearly, as your circle gets smaller and realer, you also become a better person for the people who stay. Because you're not spread thin. You're not performing for an audience. You're not maintaining 30 surface-level friendships. You're actually present with the 7 people who matter. You have more to give. More attention, more patience, more of the things that actually make someone feel loved. The contraction enables the depth. The smaller table is the better meal. So here's what I want you to take from this. After 40, or maybe 35, or maybe you're already there at 28, something shifts. You stop chasing impressive. You start chasing real. You stop measuring friendships by how fun they are at their peak and start measuring them by how safe they feel at their lowest. You learn that energy is currency, and you stop spending it on people who never give anything back. And your circle gets smaller, and that is not a problem. That is the shape of a life that's actually working. If something in this video landed for you, maybe a name came to mind, maybe you felt something loosen in your chest somewhere in the middle, I want you to do one thing. Not subscribe, not share, one thing. Text someone today, one person from your real circle, and just tell them, "I'm glad you're in my life." That's it. No explanation needed. Because after everything I've just talked about, the filtering, the energy audits, the circle contractions, the thing that actually holds it all together is this. The people who make it through deserve to know they made it through. Tell them. And if you want to go deeper on any of this, on relationships, energy, building the life you actually want in the second half, subscribe. Because that's exactly what we talk about here. Every week. No fluff. See you in the next one.